Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli, back with another review video, and yes, you read the title and you know exactly what it is that I'm reviewing. Something Looney Tunes, of course, and, yeah. I gotta say that this one piece of Looney Tunes movie material, I guess you can best say, because that's what it is. And, it is a direct to Looney Tunes streaming DVD movie, not theatrical, but yeah. Yeah. This, Looney Tunes, animated film, it was pretty interesting. I was aware about this. I remember seeing the trailers for it. I think mainly just one trailer, and the fact that this one piece of Looney Tunes movie material is directed by a female director. This is, in fact, the first ever piece of Looney Tunes material to be directed by a female director. And not to mention that this was most notably released in celebration of one of the main characters' 80th birthday. And that being a yellow bird that I think we all know and love so well. Yeah, I mean, there's only one yellow bird that we know so well and love from Looney Tunes. Yeah, so that's right, guys. I am finally reviewing from 2022, King Tweety. Yes, King Tweety. Yep, and you saw the thumbnail, so yeah. But yeah, King Tweety, I gotta say, I had seen this before, and I did a rewatch, and, before, and as of now, I'm doing my review on it. Yeah, it's okay for what it is, and geez, because an 82% score on Rotten Tomatoes? Well, not to say it's bad, and for me, my opinion, yeah, it's not bad, but yeah, it may not be really the best piece of Looney Tunes movie material and such, and, I understand and get the direction that this piece of Looney Tunes material takes with its story and its characters. And, this isn't the first time that we would see, the iconic duo of Tweety and Sylvester be in a Looney Tunes feature film of their own, and that especially mainly goes for Tweety, him being the star. Well, because we had, say, Tweety's High-Flying Adventure. Now, that's something else that, I've reviewed, and yeah, that is, that's one piece of Looney Tunes movie material that stars Tweety Bird and alongside with him, Sylvester, where that is pretty good. Yeah. But I would say, yeah, because Tweety's High-Flying Adventure is far better than this, but no hard feelings on King Tweety, okay? Yeah. Again, I thought it was okay, and with its cast of characters, of course we have Tweety, Sylvester, and Granny. Can't forget to mention Granny, because you can't have Sylvester and Tweety without Granny, so yeah. And the adventure that they find themselves into, in which, they bring that up early on and at the start of this film, where, they haven't had an adventure for quite a long time, and sure enough, the next adventure that they would find themselves into, going to a Canary Island and such, the Canary Islands, yeah, and what would happen to them next, yeah. And not to mention that, besides, like, Tweety, Sylvester, and Granny, there's another familiar face that actually would make an appearance in this, whom, we had previously seen in Tweety's High-Flying Adventure. If any of you can take a guess on who it is, but I'm not going to say her name until very later on. But, yeah, just overall, King Tweety, it is what it is. It may not be the best piece of Looney Tunes movie material, but, a few good things that come from this. Like, hey, most notably, that this came out around the time when, yeah, in celebration of Tweety's 80th birthday, and, this, what this, story holds for Tweety and Sylvester, the fact that, we have these two characters, and of course we know that Sylvester always chasing after Tweety and always trying to eat him and such, but in this, not really, not exactly, and that's nice to see. Also, the animation style for King Tweety, well, I'll be completely honest, I wasn't really too fond, and I don't want to say I hated it, okay? It's okay, I understand, but hey, I'm sure for a lot of you, and that especially goes for me too, how can you not? Just so used to the traditional design and look of the Looney Tunes characters, like how they look on my shirt, right? Apart from Gossamer, because Gossamer right here, that's straight from how he looked in the Looney Tunes show. Now, the Looney Tunes show, I thought that the animation and style and look to the characters on the Looney Tunes show was okay. It was pretty good. But again, I'm just so used, and I'm sure the same goes for you, just so used to, seeing how these characters look specifically, even as of now, just, But yeah, but again, overall, King Tweety, it is what it is. It's not god-awful in any way, but it's okay, decent, and I think even maybe for little kids, they would enjoy it. But any, true Looney Tunes fan, it depends on how they feel towards this, and yeah, and I've shared how I feel about this, but yeah. Okay, so with that out of the way, the first things I've had to say, etc., as always, for me, read the description / the story. Tweety, Sylvester, and Granny go on holiday to the Canary Islands. However, when the queen of the island, Paradise, disappears, Tweety unexpectedly becomes next in line for the crown. Okay, so getting into the film itself, because, yeah, well, Tweety, Sylvester, and Granny living in New York City, and but also, before we see them, an opening where we see the Canary Islands and this royal palace and, well, one of the servants about to, serving a dish and tray for, whom it is that rules the throne and such, and out of nowhere, when it's discovered that, whom it is that runs the palace and so on has mysteriously disappeared. So, yeah, panic erupts, and, well, that's when we cut to seeing Tweety and Sylvester, and doing their usual shtick and such, chasing each other. Well, yeah, Sylvester chasing Tweety, sorry. And even there's another character that resides with Granny, Tweety, and Sylvester, that being a robo-vacuum named Florbo. Okay, now we have a robo-vacuum who's a Looney Tunes character. Besides, I think I seem to recall that some people would give names, I should say, give names to their personal, very own robo-vacuums, I would say. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, because there's a moment where Florbo, chases after Sylvester, and also one moment where Sylvester accidentally, swallows a singing fish bass, those. Yeah, and Granny is disappointed, and that, of course, goes to Sylvester, but overall, at one point, them settling down on the couch, and like I said, they haven't had an adventure for quite a while, but sure enough, when they turn on the TV and, on the news, well, like what we saw at the start of this, the Queen of the Canary Islands has mysteriously disappeared, and the witness who was serving a dish for the Queen, Beep Beep, that's her name, Beep Beep, being voiced by Ricky, good old Ricky Lindholm. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Also, can't forget to mention that the voices of Sylvester and Tweety for this, and by this point, he's done an excellent job, hasn't he? Has he not? Where, he's kind of becoming the next Mel Blanc, where, he's doing a good chunk of Looney Tunes voices from, again, Sylvester, Tweety, as I mentioned, Bugs, Daffy, Marvin, etc. That being good old Eric Bayuze, I think, I'm pronouncing his last name right. And yeah, I mean, he does a really great job at, doing the voices of Sylvester and Tweety in this, and other pieces of Looney Tunes material where he's voiced those two. But yeah, and also Granny being voiced by, Candy Millo, yeah, who would, become the next voice of, Dexter from Dexter's Laboratory. Yes, that's her. And amongst of other voice roles that she's done. But yeah, great voice actress, and the fact that, she has stepped in voicing Granny, she doesn't do that bad at all. So yeah, again, they see on the news that the Queen on the Canary Islands has mysteriously disappeared, and beep beep being a weakness, and basically describing what exactly happened, and when, she tumbled down the stairs and just... And, well, apparently there has to be another bird to be next in line to take the throne. And it has to basically be a bird who just so happens to look exactly like Tweety, being the same type of breed of birds like Tweety is. The way that the beak is, the shape of the head, and also a specific feather that all of Tweety's bird relatives have that is rumored to be magical, and apparently in the feather has a image of U.S. President Jimmy Carter. Why? I don't know. Probably, just for laughs, but that's pretty much what it is. And just so happens that also, Tweety happening to be the same type of breed of bird like, the Queen is, and, a specific phone number is shown on the news, and, Tweety dialing that number, and Sylvester helping out, and it doesn't take too long for someone to step in and to escort Tweety to, the Canary Islands, and that being Harold. Harold being voiced by Fula Borg, and Harold is a dog. And we see a little later that apparently on this island, not only do birds reside there, but also dogs, too. Just birds and dogs, that's it. But, with the exception of, Granny, she's human, but yeah. However, Sylvester can't go because he's a cat, but Granny and Tweety, they tell Harold that he's family. He's a part of their family, but, those are the rules on the island, and there's nothing that Harold can do. So unfortunately, Sylvester has to remain behind while Tweety and Granny go on a plane and head straight to the island. And Sylvester, of course, saying his signature line, "Thuffer and fuckatash," of course. Of course it has to be in there, because it's Sylvester. However, and when they board a special plane to head to the island, it just so happens that Sylvester did sneak his way on there. And he's in the bottom of the plane where the luggage is stored, and he thinks that, it'll be a relaxing, nice flight to the island, but that doesn't last long, because the plane moving, and, Sylvester accidentally, knocking some other packages, like one box, like the first box, being, snakes in them, then the second box being filled with bees, and then the third box he accidentally knocks open is snake bees. Snake bees? Okay, yeah. But poor Sylvester, and that's the thing, because, to go ahead and mention this, it doesn't fail. And of course it has to be in there too, where poor Sylvester, the amount of abuse that he goes through, and as we've known him go through in God knows how many Looney Tunes materials, from him, Daffy Duck, and Wile E. Coyote being the biggest three Looney Tunes characters to go through so much, abuse and, wounding and just crashing into whatever it is, or bombs exploding, falling, the three of them have gone through so much. And even, say, like, Bugs Bunny's antagonists, yeah, them too. Basically any character, where sometimes they're going after someone or whatever, yeah, just the cartoon violence, it never fails in Looney Tunes. And what happens to Sylvester and King Tweety was not bad. I mean, that's part of the tradition for poor Sylvester, so yeah. Anyways, and as for Granny and Tweety, they're having a great time on the plane. Even, at one point, we see them in a jacuzzi. A jacuzzi on a plane. Well, maybe, possibly, but anyways. So yeah, eventually they make their way to the island, and them being greeted by Diego von Schniffenstein? Yeah, I think I'm pronouncing that right. Being voiced by John Daly. I'm pretty sure I've seen John Daly before. Something else, but anyways. Yeah, and spoiler alert, he's the antagonist. Yeah. And he's basically an advisor, but he's also a magician. He can do magic and such. So him greeting Tweety, and out of nowhere, when he first sees Granny, he falls in love with Granny. But he's a dog, but who cares, This is Looney Tunes for you. Yeah, and well, when Sylvester, after all that time, that horrible plane flight and such, and when they finally land, yeah, and when Diego and the other dogs and birds see Sylvester in plain sight, well, Sylvester's attacked, but Tweety assuring them that Sylvester is his brother, and yeah. Thankfully, Sylvester is allowed to stay on the island, even though his presence is very strange and peculiar to, the other citizens of the island, and yeah. And also, there was a third passenger that came along with Tweety and Granny, apart from Sylvester, Florbo, the robo-vacuum. We didn't see him until now. He boards off the plane, and why? Because who cares, But, yeah. So, what happens next is, Tweety, along with Sylvester and Florbo, they're given a tour of the island, and until they make their way to the palace, while Granny, she's interested in riding on, the scooters, yeah, that, old people would ride on, so, anyways, so, yeah, the tour that, Diego gives, and, even Sylvester's wondering, like, at one point asks, like, why is there no cats and only dogs and birds and so on, and even Diego, telling, Tweety, Sylvester, about another name for the island, like in Spanish or something, but yeah, that whole thing. And Diego, he even asks them about Granny, like what she likes and so on. Like he's obviously is interested in dating her, but yeah. Anyways, and then, yeah, when they finally make their way to the palace, and after another moment where Sylvester gets attacked by the dogs and such, but Diego assures them that, he is the king's brother and so on, yeah. And then Diego showing Tweety and Sylvester these portraits of past birds and who, were part of the royal throne and so on, and a little bit of their backstory. And most notably, Queen Honk. And Queen Honk, she was before, the last one to rule the throne, and, well, before Tweety steps in, yeah. And even, like, another one where, one was doing science and such, and a warrior and all that, just, yeah. But anyways, so then, they're shown their very own room, Tweety and Sylvester, and they're digging it, especially Tweety, especially immediately, his favorite thing in his very own room is the bird baths, and, is this bird bath for me? Is this and that for me? It is, yeah. And then Diego, informing now, who has become king, Tweety, informing now King Tweety that there will be a special party / celebration, and a little montage where Diego, along with Sylvester, help choose out Tweety's wardrobe, and the wardrobe that he has on, and even, like, most notably, like, the crown, yeah. And, yeah, the special party happens, and, you know, Tweety making his entrance and being announced, and the same goes for Sylvester, and them just partying, and Sylvester, like, almost, like, you know, barely attempting to eat any of the birds and such. And there's a moment where Sylvester, he happens to overhear what Diego says to his two henchmen, one who's mute, you know, doing like sign language or something, and the other one being female, which being Isa, I think I'm pronouncing that right, being voiced by, I know her, you know, she's a pretty funny actress and, you know, funny person, Dana DeLorenzo, yeah, I think I pronounced her last name right. I remember her best from appearing in the very later seasons of The Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson, and also appearing in the Evil Dead series that Bruce Campbell was a part of, where he once again reprised the role of Ash Williams. You know, that. So yeah, and she's done more than that, but those are the two that I can think of most notably that she's done. But yeah, again, Sylvester overhearing what Diego is saying to his two henchmen, planning to, you know, get rid of Tweety and dispose of him and so on. And, you know, Sylvester realizing that Diego is not a nice pup as, you know, he and Tweety thought he was and such. And, you know, and because him being an advisor and so on, just, yeah. And Sylvester's trying to warn Tweety, even warn Granny as well, because, yeah, Granny did show up to the party. I'm pretty sure, yeah, Florbo as well, the robo-vacuum. But, yeah. But Tweety, most notably, is having too much fun and thinks that Sylvester might be overreacting or something, you know. And, yeah, they still party until the next morning, yeah. And Sylvester pretty much being the only one still, you know, there, and, you know, he was not conked out for the night, yeah. And then comes King Tweety doing the royal tasks, and, yeah, this was pretty funny. And Sylvester being there because, well, Diego's attempt to try to dispose of King Tweety, like one that has to do with a giant bird, and Tweety has to dress up like a peanut and dance and such. Little does Tweety know what's actually happening, and Sylvester saving Tweety from the giant bird, and also something to do with grapes and Diego poisoning them, and yeah, Sylvester saving Tweety from that. Then coming the part where, you know, they're out in the ocean, and Tweety, you know, doing, you know, like, the tubing or something, you know, like, water skiing. Yeah, water skiing. That's the correct way to say it. And, well, and something that Diego put on him to, you know, get to get the shark's attention of the scent that's on Tweety, and, well, sure enough, yeah, Sylvester being there to save him. Just, yeah, that was pretty funny, like, the royal tasks that happen, and Sylvester being there to help out his little brother. Yes, and that's nice to see. It's nice for once, if not the first time, where where we would see a pretty good friendship between Sylvester and Tweety, and where Sylvester's not trying to eat Tweety, like, you know, besides, like, say, when he is, most notably, and, well, most notably, like, as I mentioned earlier, Tweety's high-flying adventure, Sylvester is the antagonist of that, and he's definitely trying to eat Tweety until he meets his demise, and if you've seen Tweety's high-flying adventure, you know, but anyways. And, yeah, and funny moments that happen with Granny, of course, you know, Granny being Granny, and, yeah, and, well, to speed things up, because, yeah, Sylvester still trying to, you know, prove and expose Diego for who he really is. And at one point, he tries to do some spying and even having a camera to take pictures, you know, evidence and such. And when he tries to do so, well, when he would later that evening find Diego and his two henchmen, plotting what they're going to do next and such to dispose Tweety, and Sylvester was hiding in a pot plant and taking pictures and evidence, and, well, Tweety out of nowhere popping up and wondering what Putty Tat is doing, and sure enough, yeah, Sylvester and Tweety are exposed, and, they discover Diego, well, Tweety, he discovers what Diego is like, and, well, this is where Diego, he and his two henchmen would basically frame Sylvester for eating the king, and that's what happens. They take Tweety with them in a secret location, while Sylvester, they leave him behind and, well, having yellow feathers around him and, again, making it look like that he has eaten the king, which, of course, he hasn't. And especially since Sylvester is a cat, how do you expect at first that the birds and the dogs, they're going to immediately believe that Sylvester is not guilty? Just, yeah. And two bird officers step in to, arrest and take in Sylvester. Officer Nuts, if I'm pronouncing that right, being voiced by Maya Lynn Robinson, and Officer Sidus, if I'm pronouncing that right, I don't know, but again, you know me sometimes, yeah, being voiced by Mark Whitten, and, yeah, so, yeah, again, they step in, and they take Sylvester in, and the next time we see Tweety, well, he was knocked out, but when he wakes up and regains consciousness, he finds himself in a cage, and just so happens to be in a cage with the last bird to take the throne, who was very recently captured, well, mysteriously disappeared. And that being, well, and as I mentioned, very early on, and I didn't say her name, but until now, Queen Auga. Yes, Queen Auga, whom we had seen before, again, most notably in Tweety's High-Flying Adventure. And Queen Auga being voiced by Nicole Thurman, yeah. I know I've seen Nicole Thurman, yeah. But yeah, so yeah, Queen Auga is alive and well, and she's been held prisoner, and, Queen Auga and Tweety first meeting, and, well, turns out that they would be relatives, cousins, because they are the same type of breed of bird, and yeah, the dialogue that each of them have at first, and the more we get to know of Queen Auga, just, yeah, it's a shame that, unlike in Tweety's High-Flying Adventure, she doesn't do this, where in Tweety's High-Flying Adventure, shouts like an auga, an alarm and such, it's not that. And by the way, the relationship between Queen Auga and Tweety, compared to this with Tweety's High-Flying Adventure, very different. And if you know this, then you know. But yeah. And yeah, sure enough, Diego stepping in, and Queen Auga, of course, realizing that, yeah, Diego has done this and being very disappointed in him. And we get some background on Diego, and, well, him trying to take over the throne, because, yeah, it was mentioned early on where he was planning to take over the throne himself, and we learned that, it was in the royal family rules or something, where, the dogs were to also, like, take the throne and such, but the birds, they disagreed and so on, and how Diego explains it, and, yeah, this driving Diego furious, and, well, him wanting to take the throne, not to mention the past birds, in line with Auga and Tweety, well, Diego captured them, and most notably, one by one, took their feathers, because, again, it was mentioned on the news at the start of this movie where it's rumored that one piece of a feather from the bird's tails is magical, and again, having the printed face of Jimmy Carter. It's a weird choice for that being on the feather, you know, the idea of that in this, but who cares? Again, this is Looney Tunes for you. This isn't the first time that they've done something random and strange, but yet it's still funny. Yeah. So yeah, again, Diego, one by one, taking each of their feathers, and basically we see, and when he reveals to them that he's made a boa out of them, you know, and, you know, it turns out that, yeah, those feathers, they are magical, and Diego being a magician himself, well, the more magic and power that he has, and how powerful he will become, you know, causing trouble and mayhem, and again, plotting to take over the throne on the island, the Canary Islands, yeah. And coming back to Sylvester, because, yeah, again, him being arrested, and even when Tweety hopes and telling Awooga that Sylvester will show up and, you know, save the day, but not right now, because Sylvester being thrown in jail, and the two bird officers questioning him, even torturing him, making him talk, like playing a song that's heard on the radio that Sylvester can't stand, you know, about cat treats and such. And yeah, but Sylvester doesn't give in, even when Officer Nuts, yeah, the female bird officer, you know, is roaring at Sylvester, and he's terrified, but they're not getting anything out of him. And, you know, and why should he? Because, you know, he has nothing to say because he didn't do anything. And he's in his cell and, you know, talking to himself and, you know, feeling like a total letdown to Tweety and such. But, sure enough, Granny steps in, because early on, Sylvester was trying to tell Granny, and when the officers were, you know, dragging him to jail, that, you know, he was telling Granny that he didn't kill Tweety and such. And sure enough, Granny did find out. And yeah, she helps break Sylvester free, and a little chase that happens through the island, and, you know, getting chased by the police, and apparently the two officer birds, they ride on emus, I want to say, ostriches, whichever which, yeah, and them, you know, making the sound of a police siren. But yeah, sure enough, and to speed things up still, because, well, Sylvester and Granny, they end up finding the location where Tweety and Awooga are. They're on this pirate ship, and, well, Diego is going to, you know, unleash chaos and such on the island, and with the powerful magic he has now, and with the boa, yeah. So, yeah, and to name some of the other characters, like, yeah, the Nicole Thurman and Mark Whitten, who voiced the two, no, I'm sorry, just Mark Whitten, yeah, because Nicole Thurman, not only does she voice Queen Awooga, but she also voices Melanie Blank, and Mark Whitten also voices John Foray. And fun fact, Melanie Blank and John Foray, they're named after the two late legendary voice actors, and of course, you know, being a part of Looney Tunes, Mel Blanc and June Foray. Yeah, that's clever. That's very clever with the names. I love that. I love that little tribute to two, you know, late legendary voice actors, I should say, who were a part of Looney Tunes. Yeah, Mel and June. That's sweet. That's great to see. Well, and for June Foray, because most notably, you know, her being one of the next voice actresses of Granny. I mean, she had been the longest for a long time, and until, you know, she sadly passed away, and thus, Candy Milo would take on the voice role of Granny. But yeah. And some of the other characters, and to go ahead and name them, because we see them at the climax, yeah, the ancestors of Awooga and Tweety, you know, we have Lady Bird Johnson, we also have Larry Bird, we have Charlie Parker. The three that I just named, they're humans, and somehow they're part of the canary family. And also, we have Queen Honk, as I just mentioned. Well, yeah, I'll mention Queen Honk a little later because we do see her in the climax. But yeah, but I most notably won't mention whom voices Queen Honk just yet. There's also, other characters that Flua Borg voices. There's Thaddeus Fishley ESQ. Okay. And there's Enthusiastic Guy in the crowd. And there's also, and Reggie Davis. He voices Rodrigo and Charlie Parker and the Owl. Candy Millo, she also voices Green Bean, and yeah, she also voices Larry Bird Johnson. And Maya Lynn Robinson, who voices the female bird officer, she also voices the inflatable suit dancer, yeah. And yeah, that's it. So, anyways, and also, Corinne Ingley, if I'm saying that right, is the voice of Florbo, but Florbo didn't have a voice, just made vacuum noise, but the voice of Florbo's credited. I'm not joking, just, anyways, not uncredited, it's right there, I'm looking at it, but anyways, alright, but, okay, but to speed things up because, yeah, again, Tweety and Awooga, they're now on a pirate ship, and, well, again, Sylvester and Granny, they show up on time, and Sylvester going in and freeing Tweety and Awooga, and yeah, the first time that Awooga and Sylvester would meet, and, well, them coming face-to-face with Diego and his two henchmen, and Sylvester taking it upon himself to confront Diego, well, basically, to distract Diego while Tweety and Awooga, they pull off the feathers of his boa, and that's what happens. And yeah, to go ahead and mention this, those that I mentioned, the ancestors of Tweety and Awooga in the canary family of theirs, and yeah, and most notably, Queen Honk, who took the throne before her daughter. And yeah, because Queen Honk is the mother of Queen Awooga. And Queen Honk being voiced by Carlise Berg. I think I'm saying that right. And she also voices Candace the Crane. Yeah, so anyway, so yeah, the battle happening where, the ancestors, as well as Sylvester, Tweety, and Awooga, they all join forces, and even, apart from the ancestors, Sylvester, Tweety, and Awooga, they each take pieces of their feathers. Even Sylvester, taking a piece of his fur from his tail, and, well, because, he is a part of the family, and even Tweety establishes that to him. So, by taking Sylvester's one string of fur from his tail, and same for Tweety and Awooga, combining it, and they combined with each other, and to defeat and stop Diego, and yeah, the climax and the battle, between Sylvester, Tweety, Awooga, and the ancestors against Diego, not bad, especially with how powerful Diego becomes, and even, almost becoming like a Cyclops. Well, kind of. Not really, because a third eye, basically. There we go. And even when they took on Diego's two henchmen, that was pretty funny. But yeah, overall, and in the end, they defeat Diego once and for all, and the island of the Canary of Islands, Canary Islands is safe, and now Diego being defeated, and not to mention his final demise where Florbo vacuums him up. Yeah, that was funny. And one more moment where we have, Diego's two henchmen, out of a job, and what the Silent Dog recommends, just, yeah. And all the characters on the Canary Islands celebrating, and, well, now Queen Awooga can take the throne again. And a goodbye to the ancestors and Queen Honk, and Awooga asking her mother if she'll ever see her again. But thankfully she can, her being available on Thursdays and such. That was funny. And yeah, all ends well, and Awooga, of course, again, planning to take over the throne once again. But with all the drama that's happened with her and just so on, yeah, she's not quite ready just yet to take the throne once again. And she needs a vacation. And Tweety knows and gets an idea on how Queen Awooga should spend her vacation by traveling back with Tweety, Sylvester, and Granny back to New York, and that's what happens. And as the credits roll, we see pictures of them having a good time at New York, and yeah, that was funny. By the way, because we saw this earlier, and in the credits, in New York, the hot dog cart salesman is a cameo by one Looney Tunes antagonist of Bugs Bunny's, the cowboy. I'll put his name in the text, yeah, because, yeah, he makes a cameo. You know, it would have been nice if we'd gotten a few more cameos. Whoever it would be, I mean, just, yeah, but, yeah, it was okay. You know, at least, the secondary, lesser-known characters, like, again, the cowboy, his name in text, yeah, it was nice to see him, but anyways. But, yeah, that was a nice way and a funny way for King Tweety to end off. And, yeah, again, the photos that are shown during the credits where, you know, Queen Awooga's having a good time taking a vacation, where Tweety originally resides. Even Awooga, she originally resided at New York as well, because, yeah, that was mentioned when, you know, Tweety and Awooga first met, yeah. But, yeah, overall, King Tweety, it is what it is. It's okay. It's not god-awful in any way. It's enjoyable, decent, and, yeah, I'm not saying that I hated it. I did not, and even when I did a rewatch, for me, I think it's okay, and so on. Just, yeah, you get the point now. Yeah, from beginning to end, just, yeah, from the story, the cast of characters, how Tweety and Sylvester are done in this piece of Looney Tunes movie material, and of course along with Granny, the returning appearance of Queen Awooga, new faces that step in, the main antagonist, Diego, the funny moments here and there, yeah, some of them were pretty good for me. Yeah, I know that I laughed and chuckled at at the funny moments and such, yeah. The animation, like I said, I'm not a huge fan of it, but I'm not saying I hate it. I understand, but again, I'm just so used to the traditional look and design, but yeah, again, overall, the animation in this, it's okay for what it is, yeah, for this piece of Looney Tunes material. The music and score, not bad, and the songs that are in this, not bad too. Yeah, just overall, King Tweety, it's fine for what it is. And any Looney Tunes fan out there that actually like this, and yeah, well, that's good to know, yeah. And you've heard what I've had to say about it, yeah. I don't hate it. You've heard what I said, yeah. And I'm giving King Tweety, yeah, this is on my mind. I'm giving it 6 out of 10 stars. Yes, 6 out of 10 stars for King Tweety. I've said this before where, you know, I see 6 out of 10 for me as still being good. You know, that's just how I feel, just, you know, with the 6 out of 10 thing. But yeah, so again, 6 out of 10 stars for King Tweety. And what about you guys? What did you think of King Tweety itself? Any of you, and those of you who are Looney Tunes fans, did some of you actually like/enjoy this? And do you think it was very fitting that, you know, this coming out around the time, you know, in celebration of Tweety Bird's 80th birthday? Yeah, I will admit, because, yeah, that's nice. That's nice to see. Any favorite moments from this? And how do you feel on the animation look and style to this? And what did you think of the other characters that were in this, like, you know, most notably Diego, and the returning appearance of Awooga, the Robo-Vacuum, and, like, you know, even, like, say, Jimmy Carter marked on, you know, one piece of feather, you know, just the jokes here and there, the, you know, cartoon violence that happens in this, mainly to Sylvester and sometimes to Diego, you know, just from beginning to end, you know, and with the, you know, with its funny moments and a little bit of emotional moments, yeah, it was done pretty good, and, you know, between Sylvester and Tweety, and you know, like I said, I think that the relationship between Sylvester and Tweety in this was pretty nice. Yeah, and how did you feel on that too? But just overall, what do you think of King Tweety itself, and with what I've had to say, my review on it, and yeah, what did you think of my review? Leave comments and give this review video a like, as always. And so, with all that being said, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of King Tweety. More review videos are coming your way. They're going to be awesome. Keep looking forward, and I'll see you guys in the next video / review. Take care, and peace out. And that's all, folks. Buffer and fuckatash.